Hello guys, welcome to my new esport channel, and I'm here today to provide you with all of the world's teams rundown so that you can make more educated guesses in your pick'ems, but also in case you are not following every league, you can kind of know a little bit more about teams from Europe, from NA, from Asia Pacific, or from China. Who knows which region you follow. So let's start off that this year at Worlds we'll have 16 teams. Currently the 16th team is not specified yet. It's going to be the winner of Invictus Gaming and T1. That game is gonna happen as the first game of Worlds on the 14th of October. And now without further ado, I will explain a couple of things about these teams, about maximum 1 minute each from all of the regions. Let's start with Europe, because this is the region that I watch most and I follow for a long time. Hey guys, this is the first team from Europe and their name is Fnatic, that we all love. I'm gonna go quickly through a couple of bullet points and then I will just talk through the team as a whole. First of all, Poby was not Faker, but the team with him instead of Humanoid has looked better. That said, if KC didn't completely collapse, Fnatic might have not been here. Very active early games thanks to Razork, wanting to accelerate upset but did show some love to Oscar, who carried the KC series and didn't perform the best in the series against MKOI. Fnatic did not miss Worlds, they never miss Worlds. Recent Worlds performances in 2024 top 14, 2023 top 11 and in 2022 top 10, which really doesn't do much because none of these performances were top 8. I believe Fnatic is quite a solid team. I think that, as mentioned, Poby is a mid laner that brings a lot of stability, and I do think the team is looking better with him. I would not put them as one of the favorites to win Worlds, but I think at least one BO3 they should be able to get away with. They are not a very strong team, and unless they figure their stuff out, they will be eliminated quite quickly. The next team from LAC, Movistar Koi, second seed from LAC. Elioya and Alvaro are the heart. They need to have a strong early game to create action around their strong laners. Their ability to pull out non-meta picks has been able to give them draft advantages. Math at Worlds is usually a train wreck. This feels like the year where they can correct that. Recent World performances, as you can see, top 16, 14 and 18, depending from 2024, 2023. Consistently, they have been at Worlds. Consistently, Elioya is one of the strongest junglers in the West, also especially in Europe. He is becoming the new jungle GOAT. I believe he is a very strong player. That being said, internationally, he never looked good. I feel like Elioya internationally was always looking rather shaky, and I feel like this year at the Messiah, it didn't really change. What can change at Worlds? I mean, unless Alvaro Elioya will figure stuff out, unless Jojo Pin is gonna step up big time, and I do believe he performed amazingly in playoffs, and I think he was probably the best performing in European playoffs. I think MKOI is still gonna struggle, and I do believe they will do better than Fnatic, but that's a big if, since, you know, both teams, I don't have a lot of hope for European top second and third team. Next, coming right up is G2 Esports, our favorites to do well at Worlds, of course. No LEC year without a G2 title. They finally crowned themselves in summer after 2 runner-ups. Skew and Labrov experiment paying off huge series from both of them in the summer finals. Does the team have the heights of the Yike version? Maybe not, but top 8 is the goal. G2 has not really been that competitive at Worlds, but because at the Messiah they were winning BO5s against Chinese teams, but at Worlds they were never really that competitive since 2020. The recent performance in 2022, 3 and 4 were not satisfying. I was still the part of the roster in 2022 and we sucked at Worlds. Well, we did not suck as much at the Messiah. That being said, I feel like currently G2, Labrov and Skewmont are performing so much better, and you can see the synergy. I also had the pleasure of interviewing Caps before their games, or rather after the games in the finals when they won the trophy. And he seems quite happy with the rosters and he seems very eager to keep the aggression that they currently show and have a lot of fast-paced games at the world stage. I truly hope that LAC will not disappoint us and that G2 Esports will lead us to at least top 8. Next one, I want to talk about LTA, that will be renamed again to LCS next year, but that is currently LTA because it does consider the South too. So, the third team from LTA, 100 Thieves, was ranked highly, then sacked, swapped out Sniper for Dokla and made Miracle Run. Teamfights experts, if they can survive early game, they can have a shot at winning the game. Triple threat, team with River, Quid, or FBI staying to carry the squad. Quid, not Quad. Unfortunately, I have watched some of their games and I am not very impressed. I don't think they have the greatest synergies and they also don't have good laning phases. I think 100 Thieves, while they might get away with early games thanks to River, I don't think their macro and mid-late game is going to make up for it. And I do believe they'll be one of the first teams to be eliminated at Worlds. I'm sorry. The next one, and this is it, guys. Vivo Key starts ALTA second seed. This is where my ex-teammate Trimby plays, and my ex-coach actually is the coach of the team, Seal. Trimby and Seal make it back to Worlds after a big risk going to Brazil. This team beat two LTA North teams in best of fives to make it here on merit. Miro is the first Korean mid laner to represent Brazil on international stage. Unfortunately, I haven't, well, besides the finals itself where FlyQuest did dismantle them, I haven't followed a lot of Vivo Key start games, but I can tell you that Seal is a very calculated coach and I'm sure that he can incorporate the Korean player into the team, as I have had the same experience in Heretics. Besides, Streamy is a very talented support with a big brain for the game, so I'm quite excited to see Vivo Key starts. How can they perform at Worlds? Will we be expecting some shockers from them? Well, we are gonna see. The best LTA team with the current best Western jungler, simply the best, better than all the West, FlyQuest. Inspired continues to send himself as the best player in the West and Busho the best NA talent. Jankos, which for some reason has very similar name to mine, or at least that's how I feel, could see some game time. Psycho champs like Irelia best of 3 or best of 5s. Of course, people also a very, very talented player and most likely will be playing most of the games, but we don't know that. We don't know what's happening in FlyQuest. Who I really want to highlight is Inspired. I think he has been playing amazing. I think for the last 2 years, he has been just absolutely brilliant. He has a great mind for the game, great mechanics, and I can't wait to see him on a world stage again. I think last year he did really, really well. I think at MSI with his leadership, FlyQuest won over G2, and it wasn't even close. He completely gapped Scumont. I'm now curious how Scumont grew as a player, but I'm also now curious how Inspired is going to do at Worlds. I think FlyQuest will be the Western team to watch along, hopefully G2, but rather FlyQuest. Then let's start with the LPL teams. I'm gonna save my favorite for last, which is LCK. Invictus Gaming, clearly the fourth best LPL team who couldn't match the top 3, but they did have hot streaks and cold streak within the season. Can swing up. Gala is the most consistent player who is trying to hold it together with huge games. The Shy and Rookie versus Doran Faker will be fun, but Honor will potentially drop a nuke on them. So of course this is according really to what's gonna happen. So Invictus Gaming playing against T1 for the last spot at Worlds. Well, I believe it's gonna be T1, but you can't really take it away that the Rookie and the Shy are back together. And the last time this guy was, and how I remember them actually, is I remember them from 2018, where these guys completely popped off and won Worlds, and Rookie and the Shy back then were the best two solo laners in the whole world. They were absolutely insane. They were cracking schools left and right. So I'm very curious how Invictus Gaming gonna go. I don't predict them to beat T1, but I do predict them to have at least one win and competitive series somewhat. Next off, Toby Sports, seed number 3 from LPL. They won Winter, choked at first stand. They have looked very poorly. They also won Winter because of lane swaps. Look good in spring, choked playoffs. Look good in summer and made finals. This is the real LPL second seed and it's okay to have hope. Kanabi recorded a million series MVPs this year and Jakilov won the summer split MVP. They are good, but they are usually good, just never internationally. Cream is the clear weak spot. He needs to level up. Cream is also one of the youngest players in the team. I do believe it is possible for him to level up. For me, the question mark is always 369. Is it a 3? Is it 9? Where does it land? He is quite inconsistent, and I feel like top esports get away with a lot of games because of lane swaps. Lane swaps now, I don't think they are going to be very present at Worlds because Riot is trying to remove them at least. And they are also nerfing it again just in the Worlds patch that came out a few days ago. So I feel like it should hopefully matter and lane swaps won't be present. And I think top esports will struggle unless Kanavi can really step it up. Anyone's Legend, post MSI EWC hangover was very real for Anyone's Legends. They took a while to regroup and they have not hit their spring peak yet. Tarzan is the key. So much of their level is reliant on how much he can carry through his creativity and synergy with Kyle. Kyle, actually, I like that name. Flandre is the glue that holds things together and is finally back at Worlds after a few years. So this is how anyone's legends look like. I think for LPL, it's always the big question of junglers. I feel like Tarzan and Kanavi are so important for the regions itself. Anyone's legend, I unfortunately didn't follow their games so much, but I know Tarzan, I know Shanks, I know Flandre. I think these guys can definitely pop off. That being said, it is their Worlds debut, not for the players, but for the roster itself, for the team. So we will see how well can they prepare, and we will see how well can they do. And this, I believe, is LPL's favorite, Billy Gaming. They never win Worlds, and last year they almost beat T1 in the finals without Fearless Draft. Now Billy Gaming is making it towards with Fearless Draft in there. The summer champions, they took a few splits to string everything together, but are now looking quite strong. A real six-man roster, the jungler swap mid-series, and it's hard to tell who will be the star at Worlds. Domination lane, explosiveness, and a lot of drops. Most entertaining team at Worlds? Maybe. Besides, they have Shadow, which is ex-LAC jungler. He used to compete in LAC in the year of 2020, I believe. Then he went to LPL and he was on and off multiple rosters, now coming to BLG and playing very well, making it to Worlds as the first seed from LPL. That being said, I feel like LPL is overall weaker than LCK. Besides, as much as they do have functioning six-man roster, it is also because Billy Gaming has this history of blaming junglers and always making it sound like, oh my god, it's the jungle gap, you know, it's not been dying, it's not Knight getting outplayed, it's just jungle roll, jungle gap. So that's why they have a lot of junglers, and they have been through a lot of junglers throughout the years, and they basically swap jungler every half a year even. And now they have, again, you know, two junglers. So I feel like the good thing is they can blame one and swap it for the other. That being said, it still feels a little bit weird. Now we were going to Asia Pacific. PSG Talon, three of the original Flash Wolves, have made it back to Worlds, but it was not easy. Karsa unwashing himself, Maple and retiring. They couldn't make first stand or MSI as Talon, but made it back towards as soon as the PSG name and Maple came back. Karsa and Betty are the keys. Betty is just good, and Karsa decides if they win or lose. Of course, all of these names are very known. PSG has made it towards consistently, pretty much every single time. Ashi, Karsa, Maple, Betty, Woody. I believe they are a decent team. I think they can probably put on a fight against other Asia Pacific teams, and maybe they're gonna make it an exciting BO3 against, you know, 100 Thieves or against Fnatic, but I don't really expect them to fight for higher places. I think Maple, Karsa are kind of past their glory already, and, you know, it tells you a story that Maple retired and unretired. Very curious how this team is gonna do. The next one, Team Secret Wales, a very exciting and aggressive Vietnamese team. 2022 SGB is a good comparison, also had Taki. Nothing like Gam's controlled style we have become used to internationally. Rookie, mid, jungle are mechanical beasts with very strong synergy, LUI skill level. Histo turned 18 a few weeks ago, youngest player at Worlds, very strong in BO1, BO3, can upset like 2017-19 VCS. Of course, I remember 2017-19 VCS because I was there and I was there losing, and I became a Vietnamese brother from the fact that I lost against Vietnam, but it was back then, I believe, actually the Gigabyte Marines. Anyways, going back, you know, young players, very mechanically gifted, can outplay people. I think this team is definitely going to surprise at the Worlds. I think this team is going to be most likely one of the stronger teams from Asia Pacific, and as we know, Flying Oysters is going to be the #1 seed. And I feel like these guys, if they can learn and experience Worlds, they can do a lot of damage in the upcoming years. This year, we will see how fast can they adapt. Let's remember that these teams, Asia Pacific-based teams, also do scrim against LPL and LCK during the season, so they could be a wild card. And the last team from Asia Pacific, CTBC, Flying Oyster, the most dominant APAC team since the Flash Wolves dynasty 10 years ago. A star-studded roster where each player is top 2 within their role regionally. The expectation is 4/5 of the players won't get gapped. Hongkyu, the Rookie of the Year, super aggressive player, will reline it down and will 1v9 games. Hongkyu, we know these guys. I think they did actually have really good games against KC at first and tournament. I think they have a strong roster. I think Junja is a very experienced jungler. I do feel like sometimes he gets capped a little bit too hard. Hongkyu, one of the more young players, Dogo, very exciting player to watch, very aggressive. And they also have a 6-man functioning roster with Rest and Driver. One of them playing more carry-oriented style, one of them playing more tank-oriented style. I actually did meet Driver in solo queue, and he had a very, very strong GP. But I also meet he's also stagging Master 500 LP for some reason, and he was complaining about it. So that's pretty funny that, you know, a pro player that is competing at Worlds is stagging Master in Korean solo queue, but he had a very good GP. And I savor the last, or the best for the last, T1 and LCK! My favorite region and my favorite team. 4th seed T1 going to Worlds. 4th seed once again, that counts as dark horse, right? Absolutely not. This is a team that dominated HLE and pushed Gen G in summer, but somehow fell apart in playoffs. This team at Worlds simply cannot be counted out. The magic is there until it is not. On other words, is always best jungler in the world, does have another in the tank. Faker versus Rookie in a best of 5 finally. So, first they need to beat Invictus Gaming. Not Evil Genius, Invictus Gaming. I do believe they can manage to do so. As we all know, T1 is the LPL Slayers. This time they come here to Worlds. You can see the recent World performances. They won 2014, they won 2013, they were the runners in 2022. And now they have Doran instead of Zeus. So their roster, I believe, with Doran look a little bit more shaky, especially this year. They didn't look that impressive throughout the year. But I still think that they can do very, very well at Worlds. And this T1, I will be cheering for them. You can too if you want to. I'll be cheering for my boy Faker, whom I will meet in solo queue, I'm sure, very soon. Very exciting. First, they have to slay LPL, but they're the LPL Slayers. And then we'll see how T1 goes. I do think they have looked shaky during the season, but the beast awakens every year during Worlds. The next team from LCK, in my opinion, the weakest team from LCK, KT Rolster, the most belt-wearing organization in LoL, makes it back to Worlds by the sheer power and will of Cass and BDD. Either TES 2022 or DRX 2022, apparently nothing in between, which means a big failure or a crazy black horse, wild horse. Well, DRX, you know, won Worlds, and TES didn't do very well. BDD has been a top 5 player in the world for a while now and can hopefully showcase that on the world stage. I feel like their series that qualified them to Worlds was just sheer amount of, you know, willpower and sweat and good gameplay from BDD and Cass. I think these guys need to pop off. I feel like KT Rolster, they didn't really look good in playoffs after they qualified to Worlds. I think this team is like, they have a good vibe, they play well, they have a bad vibe, they don't play well. I'm not even sure if they're gonna make top 8, honestly speaking. I just feel like it will really hardly depend on the day, how they wake up and how they feel at Worlds. For me at least, BDD and Cass will be the players to watch. I wonder how well they will do. They have also been playing for a while, and BDD can be a complete monster when he is locked in. HLE, second seed from LCK. Roller coaster of a year, winning LCK Cup and first stand tournament. Dominant spring, reverse swept by Gen G. Swept by T1, battle summer, swept T1, finish second. Very, very much roller coaster. On their best day, they can beat anyone, but that doesn't come too often. Their clutch players need to step up, Zeka and Zeus. Zeus is one more run from being the undisputed GOAT of the top lane. 3 years, 3 finals. Can he make the 4th one? This is not gonna be easy with the HLE roster. I think this roster is very dependent on the vibes. I think individually these guys are completely insane, but can choke, especially now. We know Peanut is gonna retire after this year's Worlds, and we will not really know how he will perform. He had solid performances at Worlds, he also had very shaky ones, and if he stresses himself too much, he might actually, instead of being strong, he might actually play a little bit worse. So I truly believe that Peanut, I hope rather, because it's his last Worlds, because it was his last LCK games, I hope he's gonna step up big time, and I actually hope that HLE goes all the way and maybe possibly even wins just for this player. He has been a very dominant player in LCK for so many years, and I truly hope all the best for him. And the last ones, the last but not the least, the favorites. Gen G, this is the year. It's like every single year. Spring, MSI, EWC, Summer, and now World Champions? Maybe. Superstars everywhere. King, Chovy, and Rura are able to carry games, whilst Dura is maybe the best sport of the year. Canyon has had a down split by his stance, but has always been very clutch in big series, especially in game 4-5, because he has such a big and wide champion pool. Besides, when you have so many really talented and carry-oriented players, you can have 4 carries. You only can have 2 or 3, and the rest have to play a more supportive role. So while Canyon had an off year, it could also be justified by the fact he cannot play as much of his selfish style anymore, and he has to sometimes sacrifice a little bit more for the team, and he needs to, you know, sometimes look worse so the others can look better. Gen G, I don't know. They always are favorites to win Worlds, and they never do. And for me, Well, I mean, maybe this is the year. Maybe Chovy is finally gonna cement himself that world trophy, considering that this guy's Chovy is probably considered the best player in the world. But he never really won worlds. He only won LCK many times now, and at worlds they always kind of not do very well. So I truly hope maybe this is the year where they will do it and win. It's possible, but it's also possible that they will just crash in playoffs and, you know, meet T1 like they did, I think, last year and lose. So we'll see. And that, guys, about sums it up. I hope I gave you a little bit of thoughts and a little bit of highlights from all the teams we're gonna see at Worlds. It's gonna be top 16. Worlds are starting October 14th, and you can follow them on this channel right here with all the highlights, all of the games, all also on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv Jankos. I'll see you there, guys. I wish you all a happy day, and I will see you next time. Please subscribe, and goodbye.